What if solitude isn't absence, but abundance? What if being alone isn't the void we fear, but the clarity we crave? We talk endlessly about connection, about networks, about belonging. But what if the real luxury of the future isn't visibility or even intimacy? It's solitude. We live in an age where solitude is rare, not because we lack space, but because we're never truly alone. Every silence is filled with notifications. Every pause is interrupted by the scroll. Even when the room is empty, the feeds are crowded. And yet, beneath all this noise, something is shifting. Solitude is returning, not as punishment, but as a privilege, a resource, a discipline, a radical act. Think about how the world alone used to sting. It was failure, lonely, unchosen, the one who didn't get invited. But now, the rebrand has begun. Solitude is being packaged as mindfulness retreats, silent dinners, solo travel. It's trending in wellness, creativity, and spirituality, because deep down we're beginning to realize without solitude there is no self, only performance, only echo. But let's not be naive. Solitude is double-edged. It is both medicine and poison, both teacher and tormentor. One side is reflection, the quiet space where ideas germinate, where energies refills, where the voice of intuition can be heard again. The other side is loneliness, the ache of absence, the feeling of being unmoored, invisible, irrelevant. Prophetism asked, what patterns can we see here? Why is solitude both feared and desired, both sold as cure and felt as wound? Part of the answer is technological. Never in history have we been so connected, so saturated with access to others. And yet, paradoxically, never have we felt more isolated. The constant presence of others online has diluted the intimacy of being with others offline. When everyone is always on, nobody feels truly seen. So solitude emerges as counterweight. It's a new scarcity, the thing no one can mass produce. The most valuable resource isn't attention anymore, it's detachment. But solitude isn't just about disconnecting from the world, it's about choosing whose world you let in. You realize with age, with fatigue, with experience, not every person deserves your time. Not every conversation feeds you. Some drain, some distort. To curate solitude is to curate energy, to ask, who do I let into my field? Who deserves my bandwidth, my presence, my vulnerability? It's not selfishness, it's survival. Let's step back. Historically, solitude was once sacred. Monks, mystics, poets, prophets, they withdrew not to escape life, but to listen for something deeper. In caves, deserts, forests, and silence, they found intel. Today, we mimic this in watered-down ways. Sound baths, meditation apps, me time. But the lineage is older, more profound. Solitude is not a lifestyle hack. It's a spiritual technology. And yet, culture resists this. Our systems are built to punish solitude. Companies want productivity, platforms want engagement, government want conformity, families want tradition. An individual who steps away, who refuses the script, is always suspicious. Why aren't they posting? Why aren't they participating? Why aren't they available? Because availability is not a virtue anymore. Maybe the ability to say no is the new freedom. Prophetism teaches us to pay attention to these fractures. We are entering an age where solitude will not only be a choice, it will be strategy. Leaders will cultivate it as focus, artists will guard it as fool, the wealthy will buy it as luxury, the vulnerable will suffer it as exile. The same word, but with radically different outcomes. Solitude for some will mean clarity, for others, collapse. And that's a danger, because solitude easily tips into loneliness. One is chosen, the other is imposed. One nourishes, the other corrodes. The difference is agency. Loneliness is when you crave connection and can't find it. Solitude is when you own the silence and let it teach you. But how do you tell the difference in a culture that monetizes loneliness and glamorizes solitude? Dating apps sell belonging, retreats sell solitude, both charge admission. Let's be clear, solitude is not retreating from life forever. It's creating rhythm, intervals, a heartbeat of presence and withdrawal. You cannot breathe in without breathing out. You cannot give endlessly without withdrawing to refuel. But here's a paradox. The more solitude you cultivate, the more precise your relationships become. Because you're no longer driven by scarcity, you don't chase attention, you choose resonance. And isn't that what this era demands? We're drowning in exposure, in hypervisibility, in crowds shouting for likes. But what matters is resonance, the rare frequency where something real cuts through. Solitude makes the frequency audible. Without solitude, there is only static. So, where are the seams? What does solitude reveal in the fabric of our collapsing systems? It reveals the fragility of relationships built on convenience. It reveals the emptiness on identities built only on performance. It reveals the hollowness of cultures built only on visibility. Solitude strips away what doesn't endure, and that stripping is both painful and liberating. Now imagine the future. In a world where AI talks back, where virtual companions stimulate intimacy, where feeds keep us company 24/7, what will solitude look like? Will we fear it even more because silence will feel alien? Or will we crave it desperately because synthetic presence will never satisfy? Perhaps solitude will become rebellion, a refusal to let algorithms meditate every thought, every friendship, every desire. A refusal to outsource presence to machines. And yet, solitude alone is not enough, because solitude without meaning is just emptiness. The goal is not to vanish into isolation. The goal is to return with clarity, with insight, with presence, sharpened by silence. That is the pattern: retreat, recognition, return. The prophet goes to the desert not to escape the tribe, but to bring back the new language for it. Solitude is not exile, it is rehearsal for renewal. So, what do we do with this intel? We stop treating solitude as shame. We start treating it as a signal. We build rhythms that honor it. We stop apologizing for guarding our time. We recognize that solitude is not weakness, but training for a culture that demands endurance. Because when everything else unravels, when institutions fracture and algorithms collapse, what remains is the self. And if the self has never learned to sit in silence, it will not survive the noise. So let me ask you this: what is your relationship with solitude? Is it wound or weapon? Is it absence or abundance? Is it loneliness or luxury? Drop a thought in the comments, even a single sentence. Your voice adds dimension to the silence. If this struck something inside you, subscribe or let it echo a little longer. And if you're curious about the visuals, they're part of the world I'm building beyond the screen. You can see more of my work at TOMAAS.com. This is part of the TOMAAS prophecies, cinematic essays that don't just reflect the world, but read between its fractures. Through layered visuals and emotional pattern recognition, we practice prophetism, a new way of seeing. Here, art isn't decoration, it's intel. It translates what we haven't yet learned to name, because by the time everyone understands the shift, it already happened.